So there's this. And then there's this.
My choice! 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 She's touching me. She's touching my choice.
It's Wednesday, and it's time for Pop and Politics. Enemy territory here. Hello, it's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Shelly E, we have Gianno, T, and Colleen. Joining us tonight also, we have Monica Smearman. She will come on in a later point of the broadcast. But before we get into all that, I want to say, as I generally do, join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Also, check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com for up-to-date information. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, before we get into it, how's everyone doing tonight?
Ready?
Yes.
All
Ready
right.
to go.
A lot to talk about.
All right, excellent. All right, so as you guys could see at the start of the show, we had, as we've all been talking about all week, or for the past week and a half, Roe. Roe has been overturned. Abortion laws will be decided at the state level now. 9 states had trigger laws on the books that went into effect immediately after the ruling, banning virtually all abortion. Those states included Kentucky, Louisiana, and Utah. For the most part, abortion access won't be any different in 21 blue states. For example, places like Illinois, Colorado, Nevada won't see any change on abortion access because existing state law already protects it. Other states like here in Maryland, New York, and California are working on laws to expand access, proposing measures that would require insurance funding for the procedure, expand funding for abortion providers in the state, or even create so-called sanctuaries where people from other states could come for an abortion. Most liberals decried the ruling, as you guys could see in the beginning of our show. We showed some of that. A lot of liberals decried the ruling as an attack on women's rights and democracy as a whole. They say abortion isn't ending a human life, but is simply health care procedure. And in their view, without it, women will be in danger. Most conservatives viewed it very differently, celebrating the ruling. They view the issue as not being about regulating a woman's body, but instead about protecting the body of the unborn child. And then there's this choice, this response we got. There's these pro-choice pastors. So I asked the question on my social media as to what is a pro-choice pastor? And we have Monica Smearman with us tonight. She gave a very thoughtful response. So she is joining us tonight to discuss that. Monica is a lifelong communitarian and local businesswoman, and she is currently a candidate running for Maryland's District 32 as a state delegate. How are you tonight, Monica?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here this evening.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. So it's been kind of a tumultuous couple of days or last couple of weeks. And so especially talking about this issue. So I just want to get right into it. I want to post your comment that you placed in response to my question of what is a pro-choice pastor. Do we have that? Okay, yes. And so I'll just quickly read it. It says, a pastor that realizes that the world was created with steps and levels and different abilities, a pastor that knows that God gives us options and opportunity, a pastor that knows that God uses us all for his work, a pastor that knows that God even put the plants in front of women that have been used for thousands and thousands of years to naturally end pregnancies in the non-viable early terms. A pastor that realizes God has given the strongest of his believers the hardest task to overcome. A pastor that realizes sometimes the win is harder than the loss. A pastor that realizes God's grace extends to all of us without hesitation. So I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of expand on that. What were you thinking when or do you support pro-choice or do you support the pro-life movement?
I'm definitely a pro-choice Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I think that above and beyond anything else, the freedom and the autonomy to our own body is what's protected under the Constitution.
Okay.
So I think that my freedom as a fully born citizen and grown, that my rights come before something that can't even qualify for citizenship at that point.
Okay. Now, and so that's something, that's actually not, when you look at the Democratic national platform and the Republican national platform, pro-life is on the Republican national platform. So, and what I wanted to specifically ask you about is your statement that you made as far as the pro-choice pastor. And
Sure.
You know what? I actually agree with most of your response here, what you said, in a pastor in general should be. A lot of what you mentioned there kind of makes me, it talks about what most pastors should do and should be. The one issue that that stuck out to me or as part of your response was the part about a pastor that knows that God even put the plants in front of women that have been used for thousands and thousands of years to naturally end pregnancies. And I didn't know how you reconcile that, because there's one thing not to speak on it, but for a pastor to call themselves a pro-choice pastor, that means they condone, support, and champion the killing of preborn children in the pulpit. That's anti-Bible. So I don't understand how you reconcile that.
So that depends on what perspective you come from. There's actually several different denominations in the Christian world of things that believe that the woman's right actually supersedes the child's right, and they believe more in the Talmudic aspect that until it breathes life and it has the first breath of air, it's not a baby. So depending on the religious perspective that you come from, and depending on the different sect that you come from, it's just like whether, the Trinity is the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or if they're three in one and they're different incarnations of the same Spirit. I mean, this is different philosophical and theological beliefs.
I get what you're saying there, but I mean, and you have different denominations, but when you look at the Bible, Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. When you think about that, and it just, to me, it gets fuzzy and scary to me when we start to put emphasis on how much of a life someone has. So just because you're one egg meets sperm and you have a human, when you start to say, well, the woman's life is more, I mean, for lack of a better word, important than this innocent baby's life, I don't know, that kind of sounds like slavery to me when they put talk about the whether one person's life is more value than the other. I don't.
I have a question. I have a question for Monica.
Yeah.
When do you believe that life begins when the baby takes its first breath?
I actually believe in the point of viability based on medicine and science. The earliest viable child that was
It's about 20
born,
weeks.
it was 21, and the average point of viability is considered 24 weeks. I believe that with 74% of the rest of the voting population of the country, that there do need to be limitations on abortions. I'm pretty cool with the way that Maryland has things set up. So the way that it tends to work is most clinicians, people like Planned Parenthood, they're only going to take you up to 14 weeks. And anything between 8 and 9 weeks, it can be done medically. They can do it chemically. There's absolutely no tearing apart babies or anything like that.
So Monica,
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shelly. Thanks for coming on the show. I had a couple of questions. First, I want to say I noticed a couple of things.
Sure.
In your statement, your pro-choice pastor statement that was just shown. Number one, I noticed that you didn't even capitalize God. So I just had a little question about that, and I wanted to know which God you were talking about, because you mentioned some different perspectives, and you're right in that, particularly in the Jewish community. There has been an emphasis placed on the life of the mother when that mother's life is in danger from a pregnancy. So that is true what you said to that extent. But I wanted to know, number one, which God are you talking about? That's number one. And then number two, I was looking on your Facebook page, and I know you mentioned, and I'm not quoting it because I don't remember the quote, but you mentioned something about you were going to you were trying to, I guess, push out or remove these ultra-right conservatives as if they were a problem. So who are these ultra-right conservatives in your opinion? Who are they? Can you describe them for me?
Yeah, ultra-right. I'll start with ultra-right conservatives first. Ultra-right conservatives are people that want to base the laws of our country on their religion and their personal moral code without respect or understanding to anybody else's religion, ideology, perspective, or history. Those are the ultra-right conservatives. And
okay, can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So in our country, in the United States, as you well know, I'm sure you're running for delegate. Our country, we have a constitution that has been and was created on Judeo-Christian values, not with a respect to a particular religion, but those values. So that is our constitution. So we do have to make laws on some values. Laws all over the world are made on a foundational premise of values. Ours in the United States are made on the Judeo-Christian principles. So which one of those principles would you rather us not use to make our laws and our constitution?
Unfortunately, our Declaration of Independence, which is what really kind of set the very beginning of our standards and where we were at with our country, our Constitution is more of the formulary. That's how we actually set up our government, which I'll get to in a minute. But our Declaration of Independence, who Thomas Jefferson was the father of, was a student of many religions, and he actually wrote our Declaration of Independence based not only on Christianity and Judaism, but also Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and several other religions. And you're more than welcome to look it up. I see the question in your face. Go ahead and look up Thomas Jefferson's Quran and see where it's at in the world.
But even okay, let's say what you're saying. Let's just say take it as fact. The ultimate conclusion of that was those famous 3 words: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So which one of those 3 principles would you say we should get rid of? Because if you're talking about, I know you said you are in line with most Americans, and they are to some degree agree with abortion in the first trimester. But again, I'm
agree
still
with limitations to abortion.
Exactly.
It's not about first trimester.
Well, within the first trimester, most Americans would agree and support abortion within the first trimester. What they don't support is abortion in the second, and definitely the third. By and large, the numbers don't support that. No. But again, my first question was about you being a pro-choice pastor, or at least describing what a pro-choice pastor is. Because again, which God are you talking about in your statement when your list of criteria there? Because unlike KJ, I don't agree with most of those, but I just wanted to know which God we were talking about.
I don't think that God has a definition between the religions. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest issues that we have between different religions, different sects, different derivations of things. We try to put one God over another. But if you actually study all of the religions and you look at them side by side, it's pretty much the same deal. And the thing about it is different people, just like you and I, have different perspectives. And, different verses ring truer to people than one more than another. And at that point in time, you don't get to decide what somebody's perspective is about a written word.
But that's what you've done.
Can I add something? Sorry, can I just ask a question as well? Because that's a really interesting topic when it comes to religions. I study, that's one of my interests. I think most of us actually on this panel were pretty liberal in the past. I don't know if you're aware, like we voted Democrat and we were very liberal in the past. And then in terms of religion, I studied different religions because I don't come from a religious background. So it was very interesting to me to look into Christianity. I looked really a lot into Islam and parts of Judaism as well. I would say, in my opinion, they are actually quite different in many ways, especially when it comes to Islam, compared to Christianity. When it comes to what's similar, actually, now that I think about it, that in terms of procreation, all these 3 religions actually emphasize a lot on procreation. So, for example, in Judaism, there's like you basically, your relations with your spouse should only be for procreation. Like there should, like, it doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy their experience, but
which Judaism you're talking about. If you're talking about Orthodox,
there's only one Judaism. There's different, absolutely. And there's different ways that people interpret, but if there's only one, they just choose not to, practice it in the conservative way. But my question is to you, do you think America needs to be more or less religious?
I think that religion in America is perfectly fine. But what we need to recognize and understand is that our Constitution prohibits us from making laws for everybody in our country based on somebody's religion. And that's just the way it is.
Okay. What do you think in general, like people as a whole in America, like let's say,
sorry, what?
Let's take people as a whole in America, like let's take Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, that's what's been mentioned. Do you think that people in America should kind of go away with, those beliefs and become, more liberal? Do you think that would make America better?
Oh, no, I think that everybody is entitled to believe exactly what they want to believe. I just don't think that that is something that they're allowed and that they should be trying to make laws on for other people.
I don't think
believe
that
what you want.
I think that, okay, so if somebody posts a picture of a sonogram of a baby that's less than 20 weeks old, do you congratulate them or do you say that's not a person? Because I don't think this has anything to do with religion, because I think that we know that it's really a life. Because I just want to talk about, like, because we're kind of, I feel like we're talking about religion, but I kind of want to talk about like the common sense of it's definitely a life.
Right.
6 weeks, I think, is the heartbeat.
Right.
So,
That's not a heartbeat. That's
What is it?
What is it?
Tell me what it is.
What is
It's
it?
6 oh my gosh. You know what, Monica? Who is your audience? Because you're the first person that I've ever heard to say that between 6 and 8 weeks, when a woman's heartbeat, a baby's heartbeat is detected by ultrasound, that is not a heartbeat. Tell me what it is.
Yeah. It's a complicated electrical system, but there is no heart that is.
And you are a complicated bunch of BS. You are a complicated bunch of BS, because no one has ever said you are complicated.
That's not even science. That's not science.
Yeah.
Science is science.
I mean, heartbeat itself is an electrical, it's a muscle. So I mean, everything is electricity. We are electricity. We're energy.
But back to the question right now.
You can't separate the two, really.
If somebody does post a picture of a sonogram before 20 weeks, don't you accept it as a future child?
The person that's posting the picture of their sonogram before,
so if they post the picture, then it's
so the person that's posting the picture of their sonogram at 20 weeks is generally the person that is celebrating that they're having a baby, and I celebrate that with them.
But I thought you said it wasn't a baby, though. You said it's a complicated bunch of cells. It's not even a baby. So which is it, Monica? Who is your audience? Who are you campaigning to?
So first of all, let's take a couple steps back here.
What'd you say? What'd you say, T?
I'm
so
sorry.
What?
I said that's
too many. I would love to be able to answer any questions.
Yeah, go ahead,
too many people talking.
You haven't spoken yet.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Let's take a few steps back. What is a communitarian?
A communitarian? That's somebody that works in the community. That's somebody that does community service. That's somebody that volunteers. That's somebody that steps up. That's somebody that actually puts their community in the perspective. So that.
So are you a walk away? By the way, would you have considered yourself a Democrat in the past?
Oh no.
So what?
Why not?
Yeah, this is crazy. Like your views are so liberal.
I'm a lifelong no. So I was a Democrat for 2 years. Because
so you are.
No. Well, no, I'm not. For 2 years in my early 20s. Because I was dating a super, super hardcore liberal. And
what would you clarify? What would you classify as a super, super hardcore liberal? Because you sound like one with a lot of your views. So, like, what?
How do I sound like a hardcore liberal?
And you look like
one. You're talking about your idea of life and when conception begins.
And you support CRT, which is like totally unpopular opinion.
What it doesn't support is your particular version of Christianity.
No, even Christianity out.
We're actually, I don't consider myself a religious person, so that's actually not the case in this group. Like she
used to hang out with Scientologists. She's definitely right. She's very open-minded.
So what I'm about it because it's not up to me. And in the end, at all of this, it's up to me to be a representative. It is to listen and to hear the people in my community and what they want.
A representative of the Democrat Party?
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
A representative of the Democrat Party? Because
I'm not a representative of the Democrat Party.
Did you vote for Biden?
Oh, no.
Who'd you vote for?
I am a lifelong Republican. I told you, 2 years. 2 years as a Democrat. Two. I am a lifelong Republican. I grew up in Carroll County. Okay. I have worked on campaigns my entire life, knee high to a cricket. I have worked on campaigns my entire life. My second cousin was a county commissioner in Carroll County. I worked on every one of her campaigns, and she was president of the county commissioners for many years. I worked with her on her campaign in 1994 with Bill Shepard in the gubernatorial race. That was the year that ended up being, excuse me, that was the year that ended up being Ellen Salve and
who did you
the
vote
Paris
for?
Pandemic. I'm sorry, what?
Who did you vote for?
Who did I vote for when?
For president, last election.
I voted for Trump.
Okay, good. So we're on the same page. So if you voted for Trump and I voted
again,
okay, that's fine. I voted for Trump, and so but you would consider me an ultra right conservative because we don't share other views. Is that what I'm just wanting to understand your campaign spiel?
Do you want to make laws in this country based on your religion for everybody else?
I want the laws in our country to be run and to be upheld by the people who put them in place, and I want them to be based on the Constitution. Yes, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm. So I want to mention also
I don't have any problem with that.
When you said about Thomas Jefferson, I mean, that's an interesting piece of history. I also know about John Adams, and he actually said our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. So what I see from that is that in order to understand the Constitution itself, you have to be religious and moral. And I think that liberal principles such as that abortion is okay, that is something that corrodes and erodes the morality of people. However you want to view it, whether it's okay at a certain time or another time. So generally speaking, that's a symptom of a society that is degrading. So I don't think that those principles are good for the country, even though I'm not a religious person, but just through observation and living in liberal societies and coming from a liberal background, very liberal, like my parents are extremely liberal. I actually do not want that for this country because I see where it leads. So like when people lose principles. So that's, I mean, what, do you disagree with John Adams?
Well, when did John Adams say that?
When he was alive.
Did he say it prior to 1789? Did he say it prior to the resolutions? Did he say it prior to the Bill of Rights? Because that
when the Constitution was already drafted, apparently he said that.
I'm sorry?
I mean, apparently he said that when the Constitution was drafted.
That was what led to the resolutions of 1789, in which they had 12 amendments that ended up being our 27th amendment, which is our Bill of Rights.
Well, the Bill of Rights is the first 10, isn't it?
Well, so that's what I'm saying. So in 1789, they had the resolutions. There were 12 of them. It ended up taking until 1791 to ratify our Bill of Rights, but they whittled it from 12 down to 10, and then all of the states had to ratify it from there.
But if you go off of
what is your point? I don't understand.
About it being wholly for whatever came back because they wanted, in the Bill of Rights, it very specifically says at the beginning of the Bill of Rights that it is to make sure that there is no misconstrued information in any of it.
But let me stop you there. As far as the Bill of Rights are concerned, first of all, our rights come from God. Secondly, if you look at the 5th and the 14th Amendment, the 5th and 14th Amendment, they require that no one be deprived of life without due process. Now, it's hard to kind of talk to you about that because you are going against science as far as when life begins.
No, I'm not going against science. I'm not going against science at all. I'm going for the point of viability.
Viability literally means alive. That's what it means. Viable, it means alive.
Okay. So up until a certain point,
if a baby can live outside of the womb, yes, we got that.
But a baby cannot live outside of the womb at 20 weeks or 20. It needs a lot of, like, even a baby that's just born cannot live on its
Monica, do you have any children? Wait, 1 second.
A baby born at full term that is healthy and normal should have absolutely zero need for any kind of medical intervention.
No,
If
they
How many
he's
children,
born,
Monica?
That's
if
still
he's
Monica.
not
born
viable.
at
It's
20,
still not
You know,
viable.
back in the
24
day, they
weeks,
used to not even name a
absolutely
child
needs
after
a
it was born
huge
because
amount of medical intervention.
first 40 days, like why they celebrate in different cultures, they celebrate
Well, yeah, and that's
first 40 days because babies die within the first 40 days. So they weren't even naming a child up to, that point because
this is where you get the 3-month rule from.
right. So like, I mean, should we go back to that and say, well, if you don't have the technology to keep the baby alive, then it's not viable, after it's born until 40 days.
This is how we got to slavery. When you have someone trying to place emphasis on who's more alive or whose life is more relevant or more
Who are you making a slave?
You
are you making a slave?
Babies are like slaves.
You're making the woman a slave. If
No.
you're going to force a woman to have a baby,
telling a woman that
that
wasn't a baby is a lie to her, and it's a lie as a lie as a lie. Telling a woman that what she's doing, getting an abortion, is just a clump of cells, leaving her with PTSD, possibly killing her through the process. It's a lie. We are not being told the truth. The media overwhelmingly is pro-choice.
That's not a lie.
Yes, it is. That's definitely a heartbeat.
Please look up any kind of medical or scientific information on any of it.
But you admitted it.
Hold on, guys. Just to play devil's to play devil's advocate for a second. I can see where she's coming from with her point, because as Republicans or as conservatives, we believe in anti-government. Well, not anti-government, but we don't want the government making decisions for ourselves. So, and from that perspective, and I'm sure Shelley, you can appreciate that, where we shouldn't have government choosing what we do to ourselves, from vaccine mandates and all of that stuff. We talk about that all the time. So from that perspective, I can understand. But the science, Monica, do you have any children?
I do. I have 2 children.
And at what point do you remember that you started to feel the baby moving?
Oh, gosh. That wasn't until 4 or 5 months down the road.
And what time? Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. And at what point did you say that the child has a heartbeat or viable?
6 weeks.
Well, the whole thing is
what she said.
It doesn't matter. I wanted those children.
That's not my point. That's not my point.
Let me answer the question to you.
That's not my point.
Want or not, it does not change what is.
My point
it does not change what is.
Yeah, I used to think like this. I used to be pro-choice up until recently. And like, it's even like that comment that you just said, Monica, like, I wanted those children. Like, it's really selfish for us as women to say, well, I planned that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a choice we made.
So that's my point.
Because that's not you. Like that's another body. I mean, that is totally a different human being.
Child sacrifice. This is demonic and evil. And this is why I'm telling you about the slave mentality, which I was mentioning, because this is what slave masters, their mentality.
You're making the woman a slave.
No, the woman. How are we making a woman a slave?
You are making women that don't want to have children.
We can remove breasts. We can do anything we want to our body. But when you have a baby, a life inside of you, that's when it changes.
Where they're going to be unloved. Why
can't we normalize adoption? Why can't we normalize adoption for working class families to make it so that people don't?
Do you have any idea what the adoption market looks like?
It needs to not be like that. And as a
legislator, as a lawmaker,
on the Republican platform, that's something you should be pushing for, is normalizing
or less pregnancies.
There are 400,000 kids in our foster care system.
And it costs a crap load of money to adopt a child. We all know that. It needs to be cheaper. It needs to be easier. The vetting process needs to be better.
All of the people that are pro-life standing up for these little kids that already are.
Well, you're a Republican.
There are plenty of organizations that help mothers.
And people are going to vote.
No. There are organizations that help mothers and babies.
You know what's absolutely amazing? Who here has been through foster parent training? Who here has been a foster parent?
I have been. Yeah. I have been. I was a foster parent before.
And what do you learn? And what do you learn in that? What do you learn about?
No, you're right. The system is an albatross. It is. But as a legislator, wait a minute. As a legislator, that would be one thing that you should be advocating for, to make it better and easier for people to adopt and have foster kids. That's number one. Number two, I want to respond to what T said about it being our body. I totally appreciate the government. What you said, T. No, I don't want the government dictating what we should do. But guess what? A baby in the womb, that is not our body. It's a whole different body that is gestating for a certain amount of time in our bodies. So there are two different entities that are there, that are involved. So when you say that a woman doesn't want it, you are basically admitting that the choice of whether or not a baby in utero lives is based on some whimsical, emotional woman at whatever time saying, well, I want it and I don't want it, as if we're going to the candy store.
Do you have any idea what makes women decide not to have children? Do you have any idea?
Selfishness.
Well, actually, majority of abortions.
Not enough birth control.
Selfishness.
Birth control's free in Maryland.
No, majority of abortions happen for inconvenience.
Aside from all of those, do you know reasons why women decide not to have children?
Selfishness.
Yeah, it's really just.
Excuse me?
Yes. A lot of times, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes about 40% of the time.
That spent her entire childhood being abused knows that she is not capable or ready as a person to not do that to the next generation, and makes the responsible choice not to bring a person into a situation knowing full well that their support network
that should be happening before the act of sex. That should be happening before the intercourse.
Accountability.
That type of thinking.
You know, do you get to decide when? Do you get to decide when contraception works?
You get to decide if you want a baby or not. Why not?
Yes, you do. If you're in a situation like what you described, hold on. If you're in a situation,
anybody, you're all talking at the same time.
In a situation that you described, and I get it. Some people are in a very difficult time in their lives, and that should make a woman be more careful and more thoughtful. And so what I'm seeing in this society is that a lot of women who are in bad situations, bad places in lives, they're still not being careful. They're not choosing the partner properly. Oh, I know. I mean, I've been around.
Well, I have so many friends who got abortions that, like, trust me, like, I know many people who did it out of convenience. Like, I know.
Jamel Hill just came out today and said she got one when she was 26. She got pregnant and she just decided she didn't want to have it, so she aborted it.
Let's take a few steps back.
I mean, did anybody ask her what her
just take a few steps back.
Was that
do we know who Jane Roe is? I mean, that the whole case was built on a lie. Jane Roe, who was Nicole McCurvey, I forgot her name. But
so are you saying, regardless
of the whole, it's the same thing. I never finished. I didn't say anything yet. What I'm saying is, it's the same thing. She was a bit promiscuous, and that's why she wanted to have the abortion. Most of the times, that's why these women have abortions, because they're using it as a plan B or as a form of contraceptive. And let's not forget about the real reason that Roe versus Wade even happened in the first place. All of it is a lie. It was built on a lie, because she came back later and said she lied.
It doesn't matter. Do you understand that what we're saying is women in the United States of America are second-class citizens.
But you're the only one on this panel that thinks that.
Whoa. Can I finish my statement, please?
Us other women don't agree with that.
No, say
well,
it.
I don't care whether you agree with it or not. This is literally what's happening to women that are not in the state of Maryland. They are now second-class citizens.
Because they gotta
drive their own body, and they are being told that they have to have babies they don't want to have or may not physically be capable of having.
Well, it's very interesting what you said.
Do you even understand, Colleen, that there are states out there that are penalizing women for going out of the state?
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Not a lie.
First of all, abortion is
there's also clauses in several of the states that actually prosecute women for having an abortion.
In which state?
Oh, Missouri's one of them.
That's a lie.
No, it's not.
That's a lie. They go after the abortionist, not the woman.
No.
This is a lie. And every state allows abortion in the sense of rape or incest. I found that out today. So that kind
not
of
every state does.
And for the health of the mother, if the mother is in a life and death situation.
And even Georgia added to the ranks yesterday with their 6-week ban. Ridiculous.
It doesn't even matter what you're saying. You are acting as a slave master. You are
You're acting like a slave master.
No, you are, because you are trying to say one life is valued over the other. May I finish,
women to have babies that they can't have.
You are once again
they can't have. They made a choice. They made a decision to procreate.
Value over life, and that is what slave masters do.
Right.
That is what you're doing.
You know what I love about all of this? What I absolutely love about all of this? None of our opinions matter. Not at all. Not one bit.
No,
not whatsoever. Because our country is not run on people's religious books.
We're not talking about religion. We don't want to run this country based on religion. Common sense. This is common sense.
We already surmised here.
I mean, you've mentioned
that you don't have a biblical bone in your body. So that whole shit has, so that has passed. We are not even talking about religion.
So just because I actually believe in people's freedom,
you can believe all you want.
And
you're
I
not
believe
talking Bible. We're talking. You are not
this
talking
is what you
Bible.
don't get to say. You don't get to say that because you don't know your KJ. No, you just judged a book by its cover.
You're not
judged a book by the fact that I believe in people's freedom. You know what? Jesus looked after
you wouldn't even say
the last
science.
and the lost.
You wouldn't even acknowledge science.
I'm sorry, what? You keep on attacking me. You're telling me I don't have a religious bone in my body, and you know what?
I didn't say that.
I was raised. That is literally what you just said 30 seconds ago.
I said
biblical bone.
Biblical bone. You don't have a biblical bone. There are a lot of people out here talking religion, which
I've got a biblical bone.
I have another question. When
there's nothing biblical about anything you said.
I was raised in a religious family, and I was raised between an atheist.
You raised wrong.
When I was a teenager, my worst offense was going to church.
Well,
okay. Excuse me?
Okay. I didn't ask you about all that. What
don't tell me I don't have a biblical bone in my body because
you have not said anything biblical. You have not said one thing biblical.
I have said plenty that is biblical. You have said a lot of theocracy.
So I've said biblical. I've actually quoted Bible.
Can I ask another question, please?
No,
KJ.
You are.
I have one more.
You're quoting whichever version of the Bible that you want to read.
We don't need to talk about that because you have not.
I'm sorry.
You have not said anything biblical. You've talked nothing biblical. So what were you saying, Kelly?
One more question. It makes me think of also like I know that if there's a homicide that happens and the pregnant woman is killed and the baby is killed, it's actually considered, as two people, double homicide. Do you disagree with that? Do you think that shouldn't be the case?
If you actually look in those cases and you look at the cases closely and look at the information, it does depend on where in the pregnancy the woman is, whether they actually charge them with murder or not.
So again, we're talking about value. Again, this is what this slave master continues to talk about.
But we're not. But when it comes down
to
to governmental
whether the
sex,
value of life, how whatever stage of gestation the person is in, how that value matters based off of whether they can be killed or not. These infants or these babies in gestation, she places value on that based on where they are in the point of their gestation. Similarly to back in the slave times, when slave masters place value based on the color of your skin. So
or whether you're capable of working or not, or if you're strong enough.
You are not valued as much as a white person. Here, the same way, she is saying that based on the time of gestation, Ms. Smearman is saying that there's no value on your life, whether you.
That is not what I said at all.
That is what you said.
That is what
not. You said it's based on the female. Monica, I have one last question for you. So since the value or whether or not the baby is wanted is based on whether or not the woman, the mother wants the baby, once the child is born, is it okay if maybe, like, let's say your children or my child or whatever, maybe, one day I decide, well, I don't want you anymore. Is it okay then to get rid of my child at that time?
No, I don't think that's right. If you made the choice to follow through, and if you made the choice to have a child, you are responsible for that child.
But what if I change my mind?
She leave?
No.
No,
something's going on with her.
Oh no, we lost her. Monica, where are you? We have so much to
say. It's the spirit, intervened.
I mean, I guess it's Patrick,
but
Nicholas Patrick saying
it's sad. It's just sad to hear a woman speak like that. I mean, it's very sad. It's demonic.
We could talk about this all night, literally. So
yeah, I mean, we have to move on. Definitely thank her for coming on and willing to discuss. But it's very upsetting. It's very sad to hear someone speak. I mean, just the fact that she said if a woman decides that she doesn't want the baby,
and she said they're not citizens,
electrical
they're
activity,
not even citizens, something like that. I thought that was weird. She also said, "I'm a fully born citizen." So you have to be a fully born citizen to have a human right.
I'm still stuck on this complicated, whatever blob of cells. I'm still stuck on that.
It's not a heartbeat. That's an electric current. Mm-hmm. Which is that our entire body is operated on electric current.
I was gonna honestly, KJ, when you were starting to talk about slavery and stuff, I kind of wanted to save her, but at the same time, like, she's into that CRT shit, so that was probably right up her alley anyway. So I was like, I'm just gonna let it go.
Well, it is what it is. We definitely thank
her. I don't trust her because of her hair.
No, do not vote for that lady. She wants CRT in Maryland schools, people.
Because of what thing?
Yes,
because of her hair.
She had CRT all over her face.
I want to hear about this. What do you have to say? Sorry.
What you said? I wouldn't trust her because of her hair. Her hair is a lie.
No, it looked locked. It was locked.
Yeah,
that's why it's a lie. Locked. That's my point. That's my point.
It's a lie.
Oh gosh.
Cultural
appropriation.
It reminded me of Rachel Dolezal a little bit. Doesn't she remind you of Rachel Dolezal with that hair?
Her hair is real. That was really long hair. Yeah, that was her real hair. I mean,
I can dig it, but liberals don't like that shit. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think her hair. It was real, but the question is it clean? So with Black people's hair are meant to lie.
Her hair isn't viable, so who knows?
I don't know what she got going on there.
We can't do this. I cannot imagine doing my hair like I can't imagine.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that takes years too.
We do have to
keep it classy.
Yeah, it takes a while for it to lock, but
it doesn't.
She did say one thing. I'll close out this thing again. Once she started talking saying some of that stuff about the religion and things.
She's not a Christian. Like she's 100% not a Christian.
She's gonna tie right into the end of the show for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, but again, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you before you were born. I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations, Jeremiah. Psalms, for you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I mean, I could go on and on, whether you have different denominations and all of that. The Bible has not changed. Just like she tried to say, depending on if the woman wants you or wants the baby or not, depends on whether the baby is actually alive. That makes
And I had the same question that Shelly asked. I'm glad she asked that. Like, there were many situations where the mother gives birth and then, strangles the baby. Like that happens. It happens pretty often. It throws away in the trash. I mean, is that something
legal in California? That's technically legal, because can't you kill them up to 28 days after birth? I mean, so they can kill them after they just deliver.
I don't even know how she's running as a Republican.
I don't get it.
She's not even talking about what
she wants to fix the party. That's what she says on her platform.
She wants to run as an independent or as a Democrat. All right, we have to continue on here. So again, join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. Don't just comment, subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com for up-to-date information. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, today is the last Wednesday of the month, and so that has Tyrone Keys. We have Tyrone Keys joining us to talk about finance and economics. How are you tonight, Tyrone?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We are. It was stressful. It's good to see Tyrone right now after this very stressful segment.
Yeah, so we have you on Soldiers of Finance. Is it right? Is that right?
Yes, we have changed the name.
Yes.
Cindy Lauper was giving us a run for our money. So.
Okay. Well, I love it. I love the new name. What do you have for us today?
Well, you and I had discussed the inflation stimulus checks that seem to be becoming in vogue right about now. And it's funny because the very name of it, inflation stimulus, is a conflicting concept, totally oxymoronic, because stimulus is part of the reason that we're in this inflationary environment that we're in now. Mm-hmm. So California, of course, has decided to, they've created this spending package. It's $14 billion spending package, part of which is going to give up to 23 million Californians up to $1,050 in stimulus. Now, I doubt if a lot of people in California are aware of the fact that they're just taking 14 million out of one pocket and then putting 1,050 in the other pocket. So this is going to increase not only inflation, but taxation in California. They don't have a printing press. They can't just add zeros like Jerome Powell does over at the Fed. States have to actually have the money, okay? And California doesn't, so they're going to increase taxes. So at the end of the day, this is going to hurt the Californian citizen in two ways, and will have larger effects in terms of the inflationary environment of the country.
Wow. Okay. And so what I don't understand is, what is the logic then behind this? Why are they doing this? Is there anything that would lead them to think this is the way to go?
Well, I believe that part of what's happening is this stimulus is designed to condition Americans for universal basic income. They want you to get used to getting a government handout. And if they can do that, then the better to control you. We've already seen it here in America where they said you need to get this particular medication or we will separate you from your income. We saw the government say that. We saw corporations play ball with that. Okay, so that combined with the fact that a central bank digital currency is in development. Okay, I encourage people, you have got to purchase assets that are outside of the purview of the federal government and these corporations. And you can do that. Okay, there are several assets that fit that class. But I think people should prepare for things are resetting. The Great Reset is not something that's going to happen next year. It's happening.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone else have any thoughts or questions?
So do you think that the economy, is it going to get much worse? Is that what you predict?
Well, I think that for some it will. The economy is evolving. And just like we saw with the internet, it left a lot of people behind. Okay. When computer technology came to the fore, this evolution of our economy, unfortunately, is going to leave a lot of people behind. Not only do you have changes in the actual economy, but you have robotics, artificial intelligence, and automation. The World Economic Forum and the IMF are both saying that that's going to take up to 800 million jobs globally by 2030. So people have to really prepare. This is coming.
Yeah.
Before you guys wrap me up, I want to say one quick thing that's kind of outside my lane here. If we found a collection of multiplying cells on Mars, electrically powered, I think we all know what NASA would classify that as.
Yep. Good point.
Yeah.
It's not viable, Tyrone.
It only matters if you posted a picture.
It only matters if you wanted
to
life,
right?
Be there. Yeah. It only matters if you chose it to exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they better not get the electrical impulse between 6 and 8 weeks, because it won't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on what they're thinking.
Tyrone, I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, T.
How do we prepare for this thing? Say, for instance, just starting in California, it's going to go to New York, DC. It's going to end up somehow affecting us. So how do we prepare for this?
I really believe that if you have one spark of entrepreneurialism in your body, you should try to develop a business. People need to develop several streams of income. Okay. The old model from the 50s where you go to college, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with college, but some of the wealthiest people in the world never attended or attended for a semester. The model where you went to college, you worked 30 years, you invested in the 401k, retired for 16 years and died, that's obsolete. You really have to create multiple streams of income. You have to also create a self-sustaining economy to the extent that you can. And what I mean by that is with food scarcity becoming more of a reality, people have acres and acres of grass. They need to think about producing something on that land. They need to think about developing partnerships with local businesses where they can, again, create this self-sustaining economy, feed their families first and foremost, and then take a look at hard assets, real estate, other commodities, investing in businesses that actually produce something. We did a video, we're going to drop it tomorrow on Soldiers of Finance channel, where we're talking about the insanity of NFTs and cryptocurrency. Okay. It's all the rage, but what substance is there to these things? And I believe that going forward, our investment choices have to be based in substance.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. We could go on and on because I have additional questions about the NFTs situation, but we're out of time. Where can people find you for more information?
They can go to YouTube and look up the Soldiers of Finance channel. And they can also go to our website, MCE, as in money changes everything, now, mcenow.com.
All right. Well, again, that is Tyrone Keys. He is here giving us financial information the last Wednesday of every month. The last Wednesday of every month. So please, if you want more of that, check us out. He's usually here at the top of the show of the last Wednesday of every month. And again, check him out on YouTube. All right. So we are moving right along. We're moving on to South Carolina. State Representative Krystle Matthews, who is currently seeking the Democratic nomination for the U.S. Senate. She actually won, I think, for the Democrats against Tim Scott, is under fire for a call she allegedly made to a South Carolina correctional inmate. We have the clip here. Take a look.
First question is this: what can we do to help you with your campaign, first of all?
I know y'all are both activists, and I am too in my own way, right? I'm very much in a lot of ways, but I know how to turn it off and turn it on. You know, I know how to be in certain spaces. You know, you got to be able to turn it off and turn it on.
Correct.
So, like, we literally, y'all, like, this is the only way you're going to change the dynamics in South Carolina. You got to find some folks that are a little bit polished, maybe are not, you know, nobody really knows them that well. Maybe they haven't really been politically active. But we need some secret sleepers. Like, we need them to run as the other side, even though they for our side. And we need them to win.
Right.
Wow. So again, that was Krystle Matthews running in the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate. Also in the call, Matthews said that, again, you heard her say she needs some Democrats to run as Republicans. Also, this call was placed back on February 15th to David Solomon Ballard, who she refers to as an activist. Ballard is housed at the Perry Correctional Institute in Greenville County. She also, I don't know if we have that tape where she discusses using what she refers to as dope money to fund campaigns. So she talks about that at length. She's asking him, you know, where are the Black people with money to fund her campaign? You know, she's willing to take any money, dope money that they fund through someone else to then contribute to her campaign for support. So,
and I still got to struggle to raise money for my campaign? Where the f*** is my Black people with money? I don't care about no dope money. Give me that dope boy money. Where the f*** is dope? Where the duffel bag boys? Find you somebody in your family that don't even know you donating to my campaign and put that under their name.
So there. So my question to you all is, what are the lengths that Democrats are willing to go to stay in power? This is not an isolated incident. How low will they go? I want to start with you, Shelley.
Well, crooks are going to be crooks. And unfortunately, there are many crooks who have the same color skin as I do in the Democrat Party. And they will do by hook and crook, literally, to get into and stay in power. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do whatever they need to do.
All right. What is your thoughts on this, Gianno?
It's just sad. It's really sad to hear this woman talk like that. It makes me think of like a third world country. Like stuff like that happens in, like, you know, really backwards places around the world normally. Like it's all corrupted. It's all like, you know, politicians are together with the criminals, the petty criminals. You know, it's sad, it's disgusting. And but talking about sleeper, it feels like we just talked to a sleeper earlier on the show today. Yeah, I wonder if they know each other.
It was reminiscent. It really was. votes. But what are your thoughts on this, T? Representative Matthews discusses using what she refers to as dope money to fund her campaign. She's a Democrat, also talking about putting sleeper Democrats to run as Republicans to change North Carolina. What are your thoughts? Or South Carolina?
Well, this is what Black people think. Like, they, even when they find out that I'm a Republican, one of the first things some of them say is, "Oh, you know, that's okay because we need people in that space too." Meaning, you know, but for when I say it, I mean we need Black people in spaces to represent, but not sell out. But they're saying it, "Oh, we need people in that spaces to infiltrate and to sell out," and I'm like, I don't even have the same mindset. That's why I'm over here. Because it's a totally different mentality and mindset. But yeah, you're thinking, oh, we can get, people think this. We get Black people or Democrats to run as Republicans and fake it. And then, you know, I don't know what the plan is once they get in. But on the other hand, they want to call me or call us pawns. Like, they're using us. The Republicans are using us for some reason. But yet it's okay when they want to use us. So yeah. It's hypocritical around the clock or whatever.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like you mentioned, they try to get sleepers, Black people, based on skin color, to run as Republicans, or they may get a white woman with dreads. What are your thoughts on this, Colleen? Matthews from South Carolina talks about. Refers to as dope money to fund campaigns, and we should have sleeper Democrats run as Republicans to change South Carolina. What are your thoughts?
I'm just so glad that this happened in South Carolina because I'm sure they're all over it like white on rice. They are probably like, whoa, let's get her out of here. Holy crap. Because I mean, you don't think so?
No, she actually won her nomination for her party.
Oh my!
After this came out or before?
She just won yesterday. Yesterday, they just did it yesterday. She just won. She won the Democratic nomination.
But this is what we're talking about.
Exactly.
And the thing is, this actually works because they play on Black people's skin color. Mm-hmm. They play on race baiting. Mm-hmm. Saying, you know, this is something we have to do because we're Black. She said this multiple times. Yeah. Black people need to stick together. So you have to vote for me because I'm Black. I'm going to vote your best interest because I'm dancing, because I'm cooning. That's what it is.
And you know, all the policies she's going to push are just going to make the Black community weaker. They're not going to help at all.
What I found interesting with that call is that, number one, she didn't care if it was recorded or not. Most people know when you call a prisoner, a jail or whatever, the calls are recorded. That didn't even bother her.
She didn't care.
It was
even he seems like she knows, as she's already been voted in. If she shouts Black, if she shouts, "Oh, you know I'm Black, vote for me." If she shouts, "Oh, you know they're racist, don't vote for them, they're white," then she has the Black vote. But she has no interest in doing anything to help the community. As you can see her saying about the dope money. So what do you think? If she's talking about requesting dope money to fund her campaign, that same dope money has been killing Black people in the community. That same dope money has not only been killing them through their veins, but people have been killing people over the dope money. This is a cycle that goes on, and she doesn't care. She just wants to stay in power. Brandon Scott, they all play on our emotions and on our skin color to say, vote for me because I'm Black. And the Black community continues to fail and sinks lower and lower.
And people are if people voting for her, they're excusing all this. That means that they've heard this or they know this about her and they still vote for her. They still support her. Because of her skin color. That's it. And that, I feel like that has to change. Like people, we have to do away with this. It's literally racism, picking a person based on race only and just not caring that this person is immoral. This person doesn't care that she's dealing with criminals in order to win. It's so shameful for this country.
Ma'am, excuse me. we have Monica who posted this. Wow, that was a low blow. I love how you bigoted you are. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a sleeper. I'm a real Republican. Ma'am, listen.
And y'all should be scared.
I am not
scared.
What
she said, y'all
Wait a minute, KJ. You didn't read that next line.
Look at the Republican platform, and it'll tell you everything you said tonight was not Republican.
Yeah.
You don't stand for life.
No, you know what, Monica? I am scared for the fact that you might win.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not gonna win.
Shit out of me.
He's not gonna win.
I hope not.
Please, I want to hear what we should be scared of, because I mean, what you're trying to do.
Yeah, like that's a weird statement. Like, is that a threat? Like, that's what I was saying, is that she hates people who are religious. Like, that's what I was trying to ask her in the beginning. So do you think that there should be less, people should be less religious, or there should be less religious people in America? And she was avoiding my question. And that is exactly what she just said right now. We should be scared. So she's coming for your religion. That's what she's doing.
She's coming for our girls, our children. Yeah. That would be scary. But you know what, Monica? You're not going to do it, sweetheart, because you have us to be bulwarks for our children and our community. You don't scare us. What it is, you are a complicated bunch of BS. That's what you are.
Yeah, no, you don't scare me at all.
You don't scare me at all.
Because again, we see.
And the fact that she said that exactly tells exactly what she's after. Right. She's after people's religious values.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I creeped on her page.
What was it? 60% of registered Democrats in the counties changed over to Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 60% or something.
This
crazy narrative that these are pushing. Because what we have here are people like her that place different values on life. Today she's saying, 20 weeks, you can do it. Next she'll say, oh, well, as long as they're in the birth canal, you can kill the baby.
So she did say that basically, because you gotta want it. If you don't want it, then
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no reasoning behind what she is saying. It's all it all goes off of the way the woman feels. No, once you have the human forming, sperm connects to the egg, you have a human life.
And it's your responsibility. And she was trying to say that women are slaves of their babies.
We didn't agree with that. So, obviously she was the only woman that felt that way, so...
It's not. She can call me a bigot if she wants, but guess it's white people like her, of the likes of Margaret Sanger and all these eugenics that come into the Black community telling Black women what they should do with their bodies or what they should not do. You are the bigot, sweetheart. You are.
Yeah. It's mind blowing. And again, as I mentioned, she is talking like a slave master. Once again, placing value or different value on human life. That is what slave masters did.
She literally decided who is a citizen and who is not.
Say again?
She literally said, who's human, who is a citizen, who has value, who doesn't have value, based on your physical characteristics. That's literally what she was saying.
She said we can't stand up and bring her back on. You're old news at this point. Why are we even still talking about her? What's the next topic? Because
you're right. Yeah, I mean, we tried to have you on and your phone went out.
Right.
So we definitely can have you back on again. Because again, we always have people on of different.
I want to talk about the CRT with her for sure.
Yeah, well, she's talking about CRT.
I've never met a Republican that is pro CRT. I've never met one. I've met multiple who are pro-choice in the early trimester. That's not uncommon. But to say that you're pro CRT is an extremely unpopular opinion.
She's not even a rhino at this point. I don't know what she is.
I watched the video she posted about it. It was terrible. It was like watching Ibram X. Kendi or something. It was awful. It was terrible. The shit that they were talking about in that video, I would have never stand behind something like that with half
because you did go on the website, or some of us did go on the website. What is she actually saying about CRT?
She posted this video about CRT, and it was a bunch of people from who had masters in human rights. I didn't know you could get a master's degree in human rights. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
It was a YouTube, it was a forum. She was on a panel in Anne Arundel County sometime.
Yes, they talked about whiteness.
Yeah.
They talked about, it was
about CRT.
CRT bullshit.
She was a member of a panel. She was a part of a panel talking about it.
Yeah, but I mean, but she posted it and was like, oh, if anybody needs to understand what CRT is, no.
Well, can someone provide a definition of what CRT is?
They did in the panel, and it was awful. It was just terrible. I mean, I couldn't believe she posted it and stood behind it. I mean,
she posts things on her Facebook from Occupy Democrats. Like, she reposts Occupy Democrats posts. So, like, and when she says she's not a sleeper, like, I mean, who is she promoting on her platform?
Yeah, really? Occupy Democrats does not have any
CRT is basically this idea that people should be treated differently based on their skin tone because they have these, like, you know, past historical traumas and things like that. So what's interesting, actually, there's some organization I read recently, they actually said that Slavs, like people of Slavic descent, are now people of color because we are, you know, we experienced discrimination, like, as immigrants when we came here and stuff like that, which is, like, it's so funny. Doesn't that mean that your skin color doesn't matter? You can still experience discrimination regardless of your skin color. So that didn't dawn on them. So instead of that, they're saying that, oh, well, if you experience discrimination, therefore you're a person of color, even if you're not Black. Like, it's
again, we have
CRT.
They are so focused on rating people based in almost like a scoring system. Once again, you know, let's see how much in the gestation of, if are they a baby, are they alive, or, you know, what part is it okay to kill them at 20 weeks? Is it okay to kill them at 5 weeks? Is it okay to kill them at 2 weeks? Is it okay to kill them at 6 months? You know, let's rate it. Same thing with skin color. And this whole CRT.
And when she says that after a certain amount of time, like, it's not okay to, like, have an abortion, let's say after a certain number of months, but what if a woman's, like, economic situation changes? Like, she becomes unemployed, you know, she ends up on the street. I mean, is that okay then? Like, so would she say that in that case, the baby is, you know, it shouldn't exist?
Let me tell you something. You know, I grew up in, you know, I grew up poor. Okay, you know, my single parent household. I first year college graduate. If somebody, you think, even if it comes to your mind, you know, where you say, well, you know, this is, you can tell that some people, there are struggles in everyone's life. Life is not easy, and this goes to the CRT thing too. We were born, everyone was born at a different place, at a different time, socioeconomic, everything was different. Everyone was born at a different part. Nobody has it easy, okay? We all have struggles. Some people struggle all their life. Some people don't. But some people still decide to bring a baby into this world, if you get pregnant, and that baby thrives, okay? So for her to sit here and place value based on someone's socioeconomic outcomes, based on their skin color, based on how much money they have, is ridiculous, and it's insulting. Honestly, it should be insulting. You know, my mom was adopted. Had my grandmother. I think my grandmother had like 8 kids, starting at like, I think 14. And she put all of them up for adoption except for 2. They all thrived. You cannot place emphasis on someone's life based off what you think, how you want them to live. You cannot do that. And you have a biblical bone in your body, because the Bible doesn't say that. What about faith? The Bible says God provides, we have to have faith. And you have to, and he has formed our parts, us in the womb. You don't have a biblical bone in your body. And I hope you don't win, Monica Smearman. You're not a Republican. Run as a Democrat. This woman has pissed me off. Really, she has.
Clearly,
she really pissed me off, and she's a slave master. And I hope everybody sees it. She's placing relevance and placing value on people based on where their gestation are in the womb. Just like the slave master placed value on people's life based off of their skin color. She's a sheep in wolf's clothing. Dread it or not. And no, honey, you don't scare me, okay? You don't scare me at all. So again, we kind of veered off here a little bit, but she kept running her mouth on this, and it's very insulting.
She got really angry. Like,
you can ignore her.
Angry.
We can ignore her.
Yes, I'll just ignore. So we're here at the end of the show. We were talking about sleepers, like this woman, a sleeper in the Republican Party. Go read the platform, lady. I am not a bigot. I am going off the Republican platform that you do not adhere to or have any type of acknowledgement of. I don't understand how you're running as a Republican. Who is her challenger? Does anybody know? Who is challenging this woman? This is who we need to have on the show.
Let's find him. We'll find him.
I think, yeah, okay. All right. Again, we are at the end of the show. Any last thoughts?
Well, can I do a shout out to an organization?
Sure.
So this is relevant to what we're talking about, and actually a lot of times people like this lady Smearman, they say that pro-life people do not care about babies after they're born. For some reason, they believe that. And that's not true. There's plenty of organizations that do care about women and their babies. So there's an organization that I volunteered for when I lived in DC. In DC, very liberal place, and they're called the Northwest Center. They're located at 2702 Ontario Road Northwest in Washington, D.C. They provide assistance, housing, clothing, diapers, food for women who are pregnant and they're struggling. And this is a pro-life organization. They have counseling where they specifically talk to these women, giving them different options, meaning that they can help them however possible, financially with things that they need, or if they need to set up an adoption process for their baby, they will help with that as well. So there are definitely organizations like that, and that is a way to address this issue, because that way this woman who is going through that is not going to be scarred for life with a choice for abortion, because abortion does scar the women forever. Like, they do not recover mentally, even if physically. And physically, yeah, even if they pretend that they do not. And so this organization exists. It's called the Northwest Center. So I'm glad to that exists in our area and close by.
That's right. That's awesome. And we have all across the country they're vandalizing these centers. They're burning them up. A lot of these centers need help. So certainly we'll post them information about that. I mean, if you call yourself a Republican and you are a pro-choice Republican, has she volunteered at these centers? This is the actual answer, you would think, for someone.
And we need more. I mean, we need more places like that in Baltimore. Like, it would be great to have something like that for women here.
Wait a minute. There are plenty of them here. I volunteered at one. There are at least 3 or 4 of them here. They're called the Greater Baltimore Crisis Pregnancy Centers, or they changed their name to Center for Pregnancy Concerns. I've mentioned them several times before. There are some here. They're all over the country, really. So they are in the area. They're here in Baltimore as well.
All right. Yeah, definitely. We can certainly volunteer there and shout them out. That's something, option for women. Just knowledge is power, man. Knowledge is power. And these resource crisis centers are here to provide knowledge, provide resources. let you realize that you do have options. And that's key. That's key. Because right now, all we do hear about, I mean, abortion, pro-abortion, just it monopolizes the airwaves, TV. I mean, when you think about it, most young people feel like that is the only option. They don't.
It's weird. It's weird to see all of these people on social media and all over the world advocating for killing babies. It was weird to me to see, like, oh, we want to be able to kill babies. How dare they take away my right to kill a baby?
Yes.
So
and basically what it is women. I mean, she's actually saying it. It's women who have trauma. You know, hurt people. And so we realize, we see a lot of times that women who have trauma, you know, maybe lack a connection with their mother, with a female, you know, in their life, they feel like that lessens the connection of someone when they get pregnant. Not understanding, you guys understanding what I'm saying? So it's like, people hurt people. So that's why we need to continue to reach out, these resource centers are key. They are key. And the crazy thing is, it feels like the pro-abortion lobby doesn't want people to go.
We should support motherhood. Like the idea that a woman is a mother, and when you become pregnant, you become a mother. Like, we should support that idea, because that is much more humane on the woman, and women will be happier with that kind of viewpoint rather than what the other side promotes.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So
also, I would think that gay couples would be pro-life, especially for gay men. I would think that they would want to advocate for that, because how else will they get children?
Well, Lady Maga, I think, is pro-life.
Definitely.
What was his name?
Ryan.
Ryan, yeah.
Definitely pro-life.
Yeah, you would think so. You would think so. But again, I think there is so much pressure and so much encouragement for abortion. They have monopolized the airwaves. They've monopolized the discussions, everything.
Yeah.
They infiltrated faith-based institutions. I mean, there's no room. That's why when you're trying to talk about something else, you're demonized. You said you're made to feel like you don't care about women, and it's not the case. So again, we do have to stop here. What I would like to do also, I mean, I know we want to end on a positive note, but I would like to make sure you guys know about the Caldwells in Chicago. His first name, do you recall? Christian Gianni Caldwell's brother was shot a couple of days ago in Chicago. His youngest brother, I think he had like 5 siblings or 6 siblings. Youngest of the siblings died. He was killed in Chicago, and so Gianno has been all over media talking about it, trying to find these shooters and bringing them to justice. He has been a friend of some of the organizations we have.
I've met him before, actually.
I had T and I met him. So our heart and prayers are with his family. That is tragic. Again, to lose any life lost is tragic. Whether you from womb to what, I think he was like 13 or 14. He may have been 14. No, he had just turned 18, I believe. Shot in Chicago. Say again?
He was 14.
Okay. No, I thought he had just turned 18. You might be right. I don't know, but again, we are heartbroken by this, and our thoughts and prayers are with him. Gianno is on a mission to try to raise awareness about this soft on crime issues in Chicago. So, if you please look him up. He's on all over social media, Gianno Caldwell. If you want more information, just to send him some type of encouragement, because I know his family is going through. They're going through. So, all right. Any last comments before we sign off, ladies? All right. So again,
happy Independence Day, everyone.
Oh yes, we're coming up on 4th of July. So yes, happy Independence Day, happy 4th.
Freedom.
Freedom. So again, this brings us to the end of the show. Thanks for watching. Continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe. That way you get up-to-the-minute content when we post, and we appreciate the support. We are an independent media, and each time you subscribe, it helps make our voice that much stronger. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment, trying to bring a conservative perspective to the mainstream.
Oh my gosh, she's really still talking. Like, shut up.
Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com. We look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.